My name is Tiago and I'm the head of engineering, and this is my Team Spotlight. My journey at Shapeways actually starts in Portugal. So I moved from Portugal to the Netherlands back in 2012. I studied architecture, and while I was there during my fourth year, I was not really happy on the path that I was on, even that I've been doing that for 4 years. While I was studying, I met my wife in Portugal. She was studying there. She's Dutch. And I decided to take a little bit of a leap of faith and come to the Netherlands, look for a job. And when I got here, I found Shapeways a couple months later. At that moment, there was this position open called Production and Distribution Specialist. And what that job meant was basically doing pretty much everything. After all the parts came out of the printers, the idea was to clean them, post-processing them, sort them, pack them, and ship them to the customers. I still remember that in one of my interviews, someone told me that, if I wanted to succeed at Shapeways, that I needed to take the initiative, that I needed to figure out how to improve things because nothing was set in stone at that time. And honestly, I really took that personal, and I tried since day one to improve things. Programming, automation, they were really game changers. When you're trying to automate things, when you're trying to improve things. I didn't have any programming background, but I'm a very curious person. I like to learn a lot. So I started looking into that to see if I could somehow improve my skills of automating things. And I think, a year later, I was coding all the time just to try to find better ways of doing things. Then a couple of years later, because I was doing this so much, I got the opportunity to join the industrial engineering team. I think it was back in 2015. During that time, industrial engineer at Shapeways was that team that the main focus was basically what I was doing, as a side job sort of thing, that was automating. And when you start working with these machines, when you start developing these machines, software is a big part of it. I started actually, doing PLC programming while I was in industrial engineering, a little bit of Python, a little bit of other languages. And at that moment was really when I realized this is what I want to do. This is what I like. The idea of building a piece of code, getting something out, and that changing someone's life at Shapeways because makes their life, their working life better and faster. I really like that feeling. And I decided for myself that that's what I wanted to do forever. So then a couple of years later, I asked Shapeways if I could join the software team a little bit on a 1 day a week, 2 day a week sort of basis. And that's when really my software career started. So my skills evolved, and then I went from from a junior developer a couple of years later to a senior developer. Then I switched to staff engineer when I took ownership of our big project of moving from the data center to AWS, moving to the cloud. And yeah, later engineering manager and now head of engineering. So that's kind of my journey a little bit. There was always opportunity. Shapeways, at least since I've been here, there was always this place that if you have good ideas, if you're curious, you can find your own way. We're looking for smart people. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter where they are. And most of the times they are already inside a company. And I always saw it, that there was always opportunities. If you're smart enough and if you want to do something else and you can prove that you actually can do that, Shapeways always found a way to get you there. Because I use this tool so much, and because of the journey that I had at Shapeways, I really can see the impact of every single line of code we write. How can that change someone's life here in the production floor, but also for our customers using our tools? It's not just about the code itself that, sometimes as a developer, you can get lost in it, right? Because you're looking at it every day. You're just seeing it as, lines that you write down. But the fact that I use those tools and I saw firsthand, how they change the way that I work and how can make my work better. And they also can make my work worse. that really shaped me as a leader that really cares about the impact we do for our customers and for our teams. When we onboard someone right now on our team, what I like to do in the first week, for example, is to give them a day that they actually work with the production team. They don't write any code. They're not going to look at any code. They actually going to do the job of, sorting, packing boxes, shipping them to the customer, and really getting a feeling of how the software works. It's not just about looking at the screen and see in between the lines what it does, but actually get that first time experience of this is how people are using the software that I'm going to develop and maintain. And I think that's a big thing for a developer, because the next time that you look at the code, you also already had this experience of how they used it before. And it's also, it brings something really nice to the table, that if you start by looking at the code, you get to a new job, you start by looking at the code, things might make sense, right? But then when an issue happens or someone asks you for something different, it becomes hard to change that, because you're looking at the logic and the logic makes sense. Why would they want something else? Well, if you flip it around, and in the first day one, you actually start looking at how the tool is used, how the tools are used, and how everyone uses what you're going to work on. You have a fresh pair of eyes. You're looking how they're using the software, and you're going to see so many issues with it that no one sees anymore, because they just accepted how the system works. But you, because you're coming in completely new, you didn't look at the code yet. You're just looking at the final result, how the tool looks and how it works. You can find so many issues and give you an ideas on how to improve it. I really think that it's important that, first of all, we shouldn't accept the status quo, right? So because something was done the same way, let's say for the past 10 years, 15 years, that doesn't mean that it's the way of doing it. Our industry evolves so fast and changes so rapidly, both on the additive manufacturing, but also on the software side of things. New tools come out, new frameworks, there's new languages, there's so much changing, these days with AI and all of that. Developers need to take the initiative. We can't just figure out what to do next alone. It needs to be a team effort. And the best ideas, come out of most of the times of people thinking about this little idea that they had, or this new tool that they want to try, or they saw something online that they saw that it was cool and maybe we could use it as well, and give them the room to go experiment. Sometimes that's the best products you get out from those experiments. I have this thing on a team called Lab Day. During the lab days, people have the freedom to just go experiment with new things. Um, and what we do is we do presentations around those lab days once a month, where people went to experiment with something. And then, we try to see as a team, is this going somewhere? Do we want to extend this and make this a project? Or, it was a fun experiment, we learned something from it and we need to move on. But sometimes there are some other things that come out of it it really brings value to the entire company. For me, careers are definitely not linear. I think we evolve as a person. I think everyone changes over time. And I think that shows as well on your career path. Because, I came from architecture to production to industrial engineering, ending up in software. I really see and experience that when I'm hiring people, when I'm adding people to my team, I'm looking for smart people that like to solve problems. Technical background, it's important. Technical skills is important, but I think if someone is smart enough, you can learn a new tool. You can learn a new language. Uh, for me, I like people on my team. I normally say that I like people that like to solve puzzles. We love when people come to us with a problem, not a solution. Because if you come to us with a problem, that means we have the freedom to now go experiment and try to find the best solution. And I see that the team really likes that. The space to go learn maybe new tools, give them the space to go try something different, give them the space to even go fix something that was there for a long time, but we never touch it. But now that someone has this problem, maybe we can go and fix it. Big picture goals for the engineering team. It's difficult for me to say that the engineering team has its own goals, because that's not the case. The business has goals that we want to achieve, and the engineering team will need to support those goals and need to be aligned with those goals. The three big areas that we focus in terms of engineering team, the first one, of course, customer experience, right? We want to make sure that Shapeways has a very smooth you know, flow for customers to get in and get out. That means, creating their own quotes, that they are accurate, that the timelines are clear, that they can place their orders, and that they can track that throughout the system. So the customer experience is it's one of our big areas. We want to make sure that that's all smooth and buttoned up. And of course, the development team, the engineering team plays a big role there. The next one is operational efficiency. We also develop and maintain the software that all our manufacturers and vendors use. That means that behind the scenes, all those tools they need to work fast, consistent. They need to be reliable, and yeah, they need to deliver the high quality without creating any bottlenecks for our teams. Imagine if our software, for some reason takes 5 minutes to load a page, that means it's 5 minutes that someone is waiting on the floor, for example, to ship a package or to plan a tray. So that doesn't happen. That can't happen. Um, and the last one is scalability. The additive manufacturing evolves over time. It changes rapidly. Software changes rapidly as well. We want the company to grow, and the only way that we can grow is to make sure that our infrastructure and our software is scalable. That can take one customer, 10 customers, 10,000, 10 million, right? That means when we design a new system, when we design a new service, we need to keep this in mind. How can we adapt? How can we make sure that when we need to scale, we actually can do that and doesn't become a bottleneck again? We are in an open space with the rest of the company, being supply chain, sales team, the operations team, uh, anything that you can think of. The development team, it's there with everyone. So that also creates very short lines of communication, because the people using the software that you're building, they're actually sitting next to you. What happens is, if there is an issue, if there is something that doesn't work exactly how they expected, you don't need to go through all these hops of bureaucracies and flows. You can actually just walk, to the next table and talk to the developer, that maybe change that code, maybe build that feature, and ask some feedback and try to learn from it and help the developer make it better afterwards. Of course, it's not just a free for all that then, we just change things and everyone does everything they want. But there is a system afterwards. But the first line of communication of figuring out what the issues are and how can we improve it, they're very short. For a customer experience, that also means that the entire process from quoting to order becomes faster and better over time, because the people actually using that system in terms of producing your parts, making sure that they get out on time, they are here next to us. So that means if we improve that system, by default, we're also improving customer experience, because things get faster, more reliable, and we can handle more. But then there's the other side as well. That's what we try to do, is we try to collect as much feedback from our customers as possible. There have actually been multiple times where we have feedback meetings with customers, and we actually get a developer also in that room with the customers, that they hear firsthand, how those customers are using the tools, what things they like, what things they don't like. And we try to learn from it, because sometimes we think that we should build something one way, but all of a sudden, your customers are using your tools in a completely different way that we didn't think about it. You thought about 1,000 different ways that they could use it, but they're going to do 1,001, right? And that becomes very interesting to get this feedback loop between customers, the other teams at Shapeways, and the development team. So I really think that this cross-functional and also customer feedback, it's very, very important for developers and for the software team. So if someone joins the Shapeways team, I don't think they will be joining a software team, an engineering team. They will be joining Shapeways, right? So we work together, we solve problems together. We're very customer focused. And the only way that that works is if we work together as a whole, as a team, not software, not sales, not supply chain, but Shapeways. I'm very excited about the future of Shapeways. I think we showed for the past couple of years how we can evolve, how we can change things. But since our restart, there were bad things about the restart and very good things about the restart. When you restart, you're kind of reborn, right? And when that happens, that means, what did it work before? What did not work before? What should we not do right now? What do we want to take back? And there was a tipping point, right? Because then you just take what's good, you left what's bad, and you rebuild. Um, and really we're busy with some really cool features on Shapeways. For example, our new instant quoting tool that is right now in beta. That's just sort of one of the examples of the things that we want to change, and that will be, you know, the new canvas of Shapeways that hopefully for the next years to come will just get better and better and better. And with this customer experience focus throughout the entire team, not just software, I really think that the future of Shapeways is a really bright one.